We have one last witness tonight, and that would be Alex Owolade. We're going to try to go a bit faster through the testimony, unfortunately, because we are running out of time. And then we've got refreshments for everyone afterwards. We want to take a few votes before we break up and do that, and provide time for people to talk and discuss if they like, and also get the witness forms if you are somebody or you know someone who should come forward with a story. Obviously, not everything has been able to get out here tonight. We'll have to do that at future public inquiries. We've had more witnesses than we could have possibly brought forward in one evening. Go ahead and tell everyone your name.
My name is Alex Owolade.
Tell us a little bit about your family history.
My father and mother, my father's from Nigeria and my mother's from Croydon. Originally a family were German Jews who fled persecution, came to this country. They met and married in the early 60s, and I was their first son. And I have a sister, Maggie, she's in the room doing the filming, and I have a brother and another younger sister, 4 children. And we were originally living in Woolwich, and my family had to flee when I was 6 months old to North London because they were being persecuted by the neighbours. My mother couldn't go out to the house with me without being spat upon, called nigger lover. And my mother told me one time when she was feeding me in the front room that someone picked a bin out of the fridge through the window and just missed us. My father, in 1965, was standing outside Barclays Bank in Woolwich and was run over by a driver. And the only reason why he got to court was because the bank manager of Barclays Bank happened to see it. And the driver went into the court and said that he wanted to run my father over because he was black, and he was fined £5 for reckless driving. And it broke my father. My father had a mental breakdown. His whole, he came here with illusions, to be honest. That if you worked hard, you could bring up your family, you could progress. He had a mental breakdown and collapsed. And it ended with, we had to go back to Nigeria, and ended up a separation. And my mother was left to bring up 4 black children by herself in this country.
Did your mother have to leave her job?
Yeah, my mother was a teacher, and she had to give up her job. And you know what? I don't want to go into too much detail, but when my mum and father split up, social services came round to my house and were trying to take us off our mother, and we had to fight to keep her children. And she gave up her job. She never went back to work until my young sister became 16, and she worked as a part-time looking after African kids. My mother has a big talent. She taught us, educated us. She has a big talent that was completely wasted. She lived in Brixton.
Is fighting racism to you a choice that you make?
No, it's never been a choice. It's been a necessity of survival. And as most black people here know, you fight racism every day. I was fighting racism when I was 6 years old. My family, and it's been every single day of my life. You have a choice. That's right.
How did you get your start in politics?
As usual, by no choice. I was out of school. We moved to Leicester when I was 10, and I was in a school that was the worst school in Leicester. Apparently, it was called Bonnie Leeds, and it had 2,000 children, 2,000 students, and it was a time around '79 when the NS was really mobilising, and we were having NS Skinners coming up to our school. Now, our school was like, we had about a third black and Asian, and the rest was white. And every time we came out to school, people were getting attacked. And we went to the school authorities, they did nothing about it. They called the police, and the police arrested us. You know what I mean? It's just like, and so we had no choice. So we started, a lot of people started to organise, and we all congregated in the playground at once. And we waited for the NS, our school at the top of the hill, and we waited for the NS investigators to come up, and we had to deal with them ourselves, and they never came back again. And that was my first experience. And it was really, it took the whole school, and my white students came and helped us do whatever, I can't mention what we did. So that was my first experience.
What led you to believe that the struggle against racism can and should be an integrated fight?
Well, firstly, my mum. That's my first thing. She fought against. I remember we would be on house estates, and people turn up in transit vans. You'd have a little argument with your friend, and suddenly the whole family, white people turn up at the night. You know what I mean? It's like, what's going on? And there'd be transit vans and baseball bats. And my mum, she's 5'1". As soon as they came to the door, she was out there. And, as far as one could hold that, and I saw that, she was prepared to put a life on that hand for us. And then in school, because I saw, white school students, same as us, fighting, dealing with the NN the same way as we were. They showed me, that I don't believe that white people are naturally racist. I don't believe that. I believe that white people have good in them as much as us, and they can see like Ham smelling, and Paul Fee, who's not here, can be here today, Paul Fee, who's also been dismissed against racism, and those are the people.
Is the Lambeth Council institutionally racist?
Absolutely, from top to bottom. Absolutely. Every procedure, every aspect of Lambeth Council is riddled with institutionalized racism, from the services to the way it treats its workers.
And you can see who's getting fat. How has that institutional racism become entrenched in the management?
Well, I want to start back. I started to work for Lambeth Council 11 years ago, and I chose to work for Lambeth Council. I was looking to work for Lambeth Council, so I thought it's my local community. I heard that Lambeth Council was a progressive council. I saw black faces when you went down to housing benefit offices made that. I thought, well, I want to work here. And you heard about all the good things that Lambeth has done in this community. So I went to work for Lambeth Council 10 years ago. There was 18,000 workers. It was the biggest employer in this borough. There were services, and despite all the Looney Less type, there were services and facilities. I don't think it was enough spent. So I should have been more, but there was a real service compared to other authorities. Soon after I started working there suddenly was a massive cut wave where the council decided that it was going to reduce the workforce and the services dramatically and create a council where it was just managing contracts. And that's when racism started to really fester, because they had to really kind of authoritarian to force those cuts. They had to really, and I remember the first. Okay, Heather Abbott. People remember Heather Abbott? Yeah. Suddenly recruited these black people to stand up. And I remember, and I remember working with viewers, I remember she made a public statement saying that the problem with Lambeth and the workers is that they employed too many people in the 80s that couldn't read or write. And we know what that meant, because in the 80s was the first time black people started to be recruited to the council. And it was a complete racist slur, conscious slur, no mistake about that. I remember I confronted her in the hallway. That fused me, I wrote my own application, so every black person in this council. But what it was about, and they used a black woman to do it, what it was about, it was to paint a racist stereotype and blame black people for the problems in Lambeth, and that's where I think
So, how is power concentrated in the council?
the power is concentrated at the top, and the blame is concentrated at the bottom. It's so simple. All the people that make the decisions, the small clique, one of them sits at the back, by the way, a small clique right at the top, yeah? And they make all the decisions and all the edicts in a little room, and it passes the edicts down, and we're supposed to be dealing with it. And it's crazy. Some of the stuff is just crazy. It doesn't even make sense. But we're carrying out. And when a client and a member of the community writes a few complaints about the lack of services, can you get a manager to explain it? You can't. I work in the homeless persons unit. And they would say, oh, we can't get temporary accommodation for this family. And the manager makes a decision. You have to run and spend half an hour chasing the manager to find out. And you say to the manager, you have to go and explain to this person why this person and the kids are going to be on the street tonight. And they say, no, you've got to explain it. That's against the rules. So the power in this council, until today, until the last 3 or 4 months, until I was dismissed, and then the power in this council was at the top and the blame at the bottom.
What is the ideology that management has with respect to services?
They come up with this policy, and New Labour is the worst of it. And but they come up with this policy, more for less. Have anyone heard that? Yeah. More for less. That defies science, doesn't it? Yeah. More for less. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you give the workers less in order for those at the top to have more.
Exactly. That's right. That's the only way you can understand what I mean.
We can't see. They deprive our boys of education by criminalising them.
That's right.
Which means that they're not going to be able to get the jobs that they are potentially capable of getting. Right? So, the only way for these people at the top to have what they have is by keeping the majority on next to nothing. Yeah? All scratching away. But fighting each other.
That's right.
Yeah? In order to make a buck, yeah? When at the top, all the money is flowing, all the champagne is there, all the big holidays.
I could have said that to myself. Exactly what's going on.
Because they think we're not educated. I'm sorry, some of us are.
It's a very sophisticated ideology. We have to be very aware of that. It's a very sophisticated ideology. What it is they see this community as ungrateful citizens. We should be happy with the law that these
they see us as a threat.
That's right.
They see us as a threat, right? Because I have more than one talented child, right, that could outdo any of them. Yeah, that could do their job back to front. Yeah. So I know that we are a threat to them. They want to deprive us of jobs, right? They want to deprive us of where we are supposed to be by right, by due of our birthright, yeah? Natural talent is called, natural talent, yeah?
We're going to, let's get through the testimony and get more discussion at the end, if we could just get through the testimony.
Sorry, you know me.
I know everybody's got a lot to say, that's why we've got to do plenty more of these public input.
This is the beginning, this is the
Just bear
beginning.
with us so we can get through, the rest of the questions for this witness.
We can expose them.
And you're absolutely right. You've described a certain view that that the management has displayed toward the workers and then also towards the community. How has these two views, how have it hurt the relations between workers and the community?
What it's done is the council has obviously reduced all the services to this community, and it's reduced the workers. So you've got a situation where our workload's doubled and then they reduce the workers. When I first started working for the council for homelessness, right, there was 32 homeless assessment officers. There's now 12. Reduced it down to 12. We can't do the work. And what has happened is it's created a conflict between the community and the people that require the services and the workers at the bottom are supposed to be delivering it. So you have real conflict, and it's really a conflict getting out where someone comes into our office who's just desperate for housing, which should be a fundamental human right to have a roof over your head. And the council becomes denying services. So they come there, they're all upset. To be homeless is not a nice thing to have. We're told to tell him no, because the criteria has just become impossible. They take it out on the person they see. The worker, like myself, faces this frustration day in and day out. And to a certain stage, when you feel you're powerless, you can't do anything to change, you start to put a wall up. And in fact, there's been situations where you feel hostile. It's created a hostility. Even in me, as someone who's a community activist, I've got times where I have to shut down because they can't. You're getting all this pressure, and there's something you can do. The managers are sitting up in their ivory towers, and they're not prepared to defend their poverty. So it's created a real conflict, and it's quite. The managers are quite happy about that, where the workers and the community are fighting each other around the services, and they can get away with carrying on.
And meantime, the deals are getting done.
Exactly.
As a black worker, what is it like dealing with management racism?
You have to always, it's when you come into work, I mean, I think what you said was so important. Your stomach tightens up. You know, you really tighten up. And you have to come into work and you just feel you're constantly undermining your own dignity, your own worth. You can't question whether, you know, and the way it's designed is like, you know, you start questioning whether you're capable of doing the work. You know, it's questioning your own worth. I've been doing, I'm in this for 11 years. You know, and I started to feel when the work was overloaded and you just don't understand, you know, all these cases up and everyone's at front, we're told that we must, you know what the council wants us to do? Not can we house people, but we must answer our phones. That's it. So when your phones are ringing, you're told you must answer within 4 rings. You know, you've got all these cases, no what to do, and you're just told, just feel you're not good all the time. It really is, it affects your whole life. And I see brilliant, talented people who have really a lot to offer this community broken. And I wanted to say about someone who died last week. I really want to say this is Roger. And he worked in, I'm saying it, he worked in waiting lists. And he was a black man who had sickle cell anemia. And he was employed by this council as a disabled person. And he was hounded by management when he went to crisis. You know, you go into crisis and they'll take off a sickness panel. They try to discipline him for going into a crisis. And they stressed him out. And I remember he was arguing, why can't you just reorganize the work? He was struggling to go into work because he thought he had to work for his own self. And he was struggling to work. And all he needed was to reorganize the work so that he could do his work without, you know, people know sickle cell, it affects black people, right? And he reorganized the work. And you know what happened? You know what they did? I will go to the sickness panel and go, well, when's he going to get better? Completely like, what? You know, it was complete racism. You know, they finally got medical retirement 6 months ago, I think. He had to fight tooth and nail. He was coming into work and you could see the illness. And he was starting to get more crisis. And he died last Thursday. Had a chance of working for this council for years. And there's another person, a black woman called Beverly, who has sickle cell anemia. They persecuted her for her sickness, right? And she had to go to court to get her pension. And that's how, this is what this Lambeth Council does to people.
What are the kinds of choices that people have to make about how to handle racism at work?
You've got this situation, it's all prevailing. It's everywhere. It's undermining your very soul, you know, your very person. And you as a black person have several choices. Choice is just to deny it, just to survive, it's just to ignore it, deny that it exists. And there are some people, and you understand why. You have to pick and choose what time you fight. Because if you took up every single case, you'll be running, that's all you'll be doing in life. And you have to make a decision. You know when they go around and black people cry racism all the time. When you speak about racism, it's a very big step for you to make because you risk being victimized, being isolated, and being persecuted for doing that in the workplace. Absolutely. So when anyone is black person says, this is racism, they've gone through every single alternative. Every single. And I remember, you know, and it was like, and I said, I've had to fight with some black workers where it's so obvious. Even to white workers, it's racist. I had to fight for black workers to come out because it is so, because it means so much. So you make choices. That's right. That's right. So you have to make choices. And this council is trying to create a situation where the choice for black workers is the key, quiet, and put up with it. Well, sorry, that's not going to happen anymore.
How are the questions of racism treated by management when complaints of it are made?
The first reaction of management is how to shut it down. How can we turn it and twist it round so the victim becomes the perpetrator? Automatic all the time, and you've seen it in this case, but it's not the first time. It's happening all the time. Anytime someone raises even a mild concern, and we use words like, oh, I think I've been treated differently. So they don't even use the race word, right? It's turned on its head. And, you know, I mean, obviously with my case and with the workers now class is an example. But you know what happened? A couple of weeks after I was sacked, in November the 20th, 2 days before Ricky Bishop was murdered in Brixton Police Station, it came to public view, to the workers, that an email was circulated by a manager to another manager, 2 white managers. One said it's like this call for surveillance on staff. Lambeth is organising calls for managers to go surveillance staff, and this white manager, it's reported, that this manager said, oh, we should go on this to keep an eye on those darker ones in this bloody zoo. No, that came to public notice, and a worker went to Faith Portman or someone's official, said, look, I've seen this email, there needs to be some investigation into it. That's all was said. The council went to the manager and said, did you write? He said, no. Have you got a copy? No, I deleted the original off my computer. Then issued a statement to the workforce that they've come to know there's been a tampering with the manager's email and the worker responsible will be sought out and disciplined. No investigation whatsoever. And the person who raised it was turned on its head. So, and the union...
What happened to the person who brought the complaint to the...
He was threatened with disciplinary action for raising the email with senior management.
Yeah. And what was the union?
The union's response was to say nothing. The union's response was to say, the union official, and I make this distinction, Lambeth Union, I've been a union member the day I joined Lambeth Council. And this union, when we talk about the union, it means all the hundreds of members, and there's a lot of black members in it as well, but predominantly members of all the workers in this council. But the union leadership, like John Rogers, Roy Beasley, and Peter Woodward, these unionists their responses, anytime an issue raised to them, is to run for cover. Run for cover. Tell the worker, you've got no case. And run to management, oh yeah, and so they have to say nothing about this. There was an issue with our own steward, Paul Fee, was being persecuted for standing up against racism, and they let him be persecuted.
What is it like going through the disciplinary process? What is it meant to be for workers?
The whole disciplinary process is set up, it's like trial, judge and jury managers. And absolutely, and it's designed like that from the very beginning. Like every case I've represented over the 9 years I've been a shop steward, the first thing you have to do is undo the decisions already been made that this person is guilty. That's the first job. And to go into the hearing, and that's why we have to make it public. The only way we can force these managers to feel they have some pressure to be seen to be impartial is they know the rest of the workforce is watching them. And that's the only way I've won cases or cases heard. You know, they want to have a hearing in half a day. Gross misconduct on workers that worked here for years, and they want it over in one day. Well, I'm sorry, 10 days later we're still having a hearing. You know what I mean? So that's what institutionalized racism means. It's like the hearings, they decide. The disciplinary process in Lambeth is designed to allow workers to be disciplined, found guilty, and thrown out of the council. It's part of those job reductions, to be honest. And to create a climate of fear is that management talks effective. Rather than managing people and say, trying to encourage people to develop their skills, the threat of disciplinary action is always imposed. So it's a tool to intimidate, a climate of fear across the workers, and it's completely undemocratic. You've got managers deciding, and they all know each other, and the decision's already been made before you even step into the room.
And what do they expect the worker to do when they come in?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they expect you to go in there. The only thing you can plead in that hearing is mitigation, plead for mercy. That's all we can. Oh, well, this and that. Please don't sack this person. And you know they put gross misconduct. Like one case we had, one of the workers, 40 counts of gross misconduct. You know Eugenie, she only answered the call for 2 seconds. 8 counts of gross misconduct. That's what she was faced on. So we kept her family. 8 counts of gross misconduct. And what do they expect the workers to do? Yeah, to plead mitigation, to plead for mercy, and hopefully you get a final written warning. And to be honest, I'm one of the few shop stewards that don't accept that line. I plead for justice, not plead, demand justice. And the rest of the union leadership, they just go in there and just accept that we only can plead for mercy. I had a phone call, because I get phone calls from all over the council, workers, in different sections. I had a phone call from a black woman worker, who was in tears, distraught. She was in the hearing with the housing convener, Roy Beasley, and the managers were just lying completely lying about her, just discredited her, you know, just personally discrediting her. And the convener turned around to her in front of the disciplinary panel and said, well, I think management have a point. And she just thought, I just must just resign.
Do you think there's a problem of institutional racism within the leadership structure of the union?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The leadership of this union is thoroughly institutionally racist, and it's collaborated with the institutionalized racism in this council. And every black member, every worker knows that. In my case, and it's so explicit in my case, you know, they knew everything that was going on in LCAS. It was reported to them over 6 years. Every account they knew, and they could say, oh, go back and take notes, go back and take notes. For 6 years, they knew that this racist manager, Anya, who is a racist through and through, they knew there was evidence, not just simply workers in their section, but workers outside their section, like Anita. They knew there was collaborated evidence of a racist comment, and they said there was not enough. They said that if we went to court, no white jury would agree that she was racist. What condemnation of white people? I just said that if white Jews, they can be all racist in the white jury, and they know that if you call someone a beige savage, or went to women do this and that, that's racism. The union response to any complaint of racism is to how can we silence them? How can we shut them up? We don't, and so, you know, they issued a statement that this management was racist to the entire housing directorate, not even consulting the victims of her racism. And it led to encouraging the council to dismiss me. So they are, to this day, you know, John Rogers is doing his best to undermine even our ability to speak the truth. They always tell workers, don't speak out. They always try and encourage people to not feel confident. Oh, no one's going to believe you. It's better if you do this. You know, you've got too much against you. They always the fact that you're isolated. They encourage your isolation, and it is very conscious and very thorough. And it has to change, and that has to change. Not only institutional racism in the council, but in the union. This is what this inquiry is about. We have to change everything. This union must fight for the interests of the workers in this community.
Now, it was known to you before you ever got involved in Elaine Davies and Eugenie Small's disciplinary that this manager was racist. Was it generally known?
So it was generally known all over the social housing services. She was known as the racist. I mean, she right outside her section, you know, she persecuted black staff. People knew about it, and it was in situations where I know another worker, she actually physically pushed a black worker's face. You know what I mean? And you know, it was well known. As to whether the comments she'd made, the way she would behave towards black staff, but she was. Because nothing was done about it. People thought she was, you know, management gave her the green light, so she had the power to walk around, trot around the building like with the servants. Yeah. So I was aware that there'd been the level of black people being disciplined in that section. It was a very small section of 12 or 13 workers, and there'd been 6 disciplinaries. 5 of them had been black. And the white person who'd been stripped, the shop steward, was just stood up against racism. They refused. Anya tried to get this Paul, who was the shop steward, to say that his black manager didn't like white people. And because he refused, he said, well, I have problems with the manager because I'm a union, but not because she doesn't like white people. And he was persecuted and run out of the workplace. So the only white person in that section was because he stood up against racism.
As a union steward, and even as a citizen, do you have a right to express your opinion and campaign for justice in the workplace?
Not only have a right, we have a duty. We have a duty to speak out. And we have not only a duty to ourselves, but as a leader, as a workers' leader and a civil rights leader, I have a responsibility and a duty to speak out. Absolutely.
You had every right to put out the leaflets you put out.
I don't know what they expect us to do. They held a hearing in their absence and sacked them. And we're putting to sit back and say, okay, right, we'll wait for your appeal. Oh, no. And we put a statement out. It became clear, and we put a statement. We got workers. Because you know what? The way we're going to challenge this is through our collective strength. Why the council and the authorities can target one person and they're fighting by themselves, then you are weak. But, you know, if you come together, it's so much stronger. Even in this struggle now, not how many people come together. And we immediately, as soon as you dismiss us, this is an issue that affects every single worker, black and white in the workforce. How can you have members of staff facing disciplinary charges and not even get a right to have an answer them? And we put a statement out to the entire housing, to special housing service, to housing, and we put a petition out for workers to demand the simple right to have a hearing and the right to defend yourself. And for the first time ever in Lambeth history, they had to rescind the dismissal and reinstate the disciplinary plan. So that's why we took the leaflet out, just to get a basic right to be heard.
Now, how did management respond to the campaign that you waged against black workers?
But they wrote to John Rogers. They seem to always write to John Rogers when they got complaints about me. You know, and I obviously think we've got someone who's got a helpful ear or whatever. They wrote to John Rogers saying, this is not normal industrial relations. To write is not normal industrial relations. You know, and the right to they complained about that. Then I get this rumour that's a complaint about me because I raised race discrimination in the disciplinary process, in disciplinary hearings. And then I find out 8.5 months later, or 8 months, 7.5 months later, that there was a complaint, an unsigned complaint by this manager saying that I was harassed her just before the disciplinary hearing against me.
What did she say the harassment consisted of?
It said that I raised that she was racially discriminated against black staff in a disciplinary hearing in defense of Eugenie and Elaine. She said that I was threatening, that I was aggressive. Have you heard this before? That sounds standard, doesn't it? Aggressive, threatening, that she heard that I said that she was racist, that, you know, and as a whole, I think that was so much as a whole patriotic thing. She, okay, that's incredible. The day Eugenie and Elaine were dragged to Hambrook House, in public, they were dismissed in public on the 3rd floor. Remember that? On the 3rd floor, you'll be dismissed. They've all been on work, they've been on shift since 7 o'clock in the morning, and their builders couldn't up Acre Lane. And I said to the manager, I said, well, and everyone's distraught, you know what I mean? So I said to the person, let me escort them back to their building to get their belongings and leave. And that was okay. I went back to the building, Angela is based in that building, and she came out the door when we come back, and I said, I just like to speak. And I said, look, I'm not speaking to you. I've just come here to escort my members to collect their belongings and left. And she turned around and went back into our room, and that was it. We took her the bits to pieces. We put some of her belongings in a black plastic sack, and I only mentioned that they stole plastic bags from the office. I mean, that's vindictiveness, it is. And then she said that I was aggressive with her. But I said, I don't want to speak to you. So that was the nature of the complaint. Complete racist stereotypes and all rubbish.
What has your dismissal signified to workers and community members?
It's signified two things, I think. I think the intention of the council was to say, look, we've got rid of you're one of the most outspoken person in the workplace against racism. Don't think we're afraid to get rid of you. You need to keep quiet. I think it was management's response. But I think what's signified now is that's been blown out of the water. Because, the day we went public, we've got over 10,000 people signed the petition. We've had workers meet. My workers have been on strike for 2 days around my case. Workers have come forward with their own complaints. We've had workers here testifying in public about the case. So I think it's my dismissal in reality signifies a real change, that people have a right to speak out. We've had groups, pension groups of tenant reps identify with this, because it really isn't, racism is like the top, but really what it means is the way that this whole community is viewed and treated. Even the way that the councillors are treated by this management. You know what I mean? It's just kind of, like you have this clique at the top, The elected representatives don't even have rights now, and they're trying to restrict them. This community doesn't have a right to have a say, and it's that concern, and in that environment racism festers. And I think a lot of people who are realizing that racism is like the key, but it affects every aspect of life in this community, and what services it provides.
Did you presume that the investigation into you by management would be conducted in a fair or routine manner?
Of course. I believe in pigs can fly as well. No, okay, let's be honest. I was shocked actually. I mean, I'm never representative. I'm just representing someone about racism to be disciplined. I was quite taken aback. I first didn't take it serious. I thought, they must be joking. And, you know, and then when I realized it was serious, I mean, I was bewildered, to be honest. I was absolutely bewildered. And also, harassment, you know, that kind of charge. It's kind of like an attack on your personality. You know, I mean, I fought against harassment all my life, and then to be accused of that, and they put harassment on a female employee. That's what Lambeth Council put on the website, you know. Kind of scandal, and it did make me feel embarrassed. It's designed to make you feel intimidated and stuff. So I was angry, and I knew, but I knew it wasn't going to be fair. I knew it was going to require a fight, but I also knew this was the beginning. I thought, yeah, they picked on the wrong community, they picked on the wrong workforce, and they picked on the wrong person to mess around like that. And yes, I'll be the back. And I intend to be reinstated. I want to go back to work. Tell that to Faith Boardman over there. I want to go back to work. And I will intend to go back to work. I'm not interested in your money. You know one thing that Lambeth Council does? Let me tell you another little thing that Lambeth Council does. When a worker was being racially abused and their life destroyed, and they determined by themselves to go to industrial tribunals. You know what this council does?
Offer them money.
They went to get to the hearing. They did it with a member of mine. They didn't know I was there. You're going to lose. They hire a barrister. Our money. They pay for a barrister. And they work into Croydon, in the industrial tribunal place in Croydon, and just half an hour before the hearing. And you know what it's like for most workers? The union... You know when you want to get legal advice and legal assistance from this union, you've got to get signed confessions from the perpetrators before they consider it. So these members who paid subs all their lives have to go by themselves. And if you go up there, you'll see these black people, black workers, whatever, discriminate. They've got all the papers on the floor. You know, they're trying to get things together. You can see how distraught they are. They know they want to fight for justice and they go all the way. And they get some toppy-nosed barrister, £1,000 an hour, Lambeth Council taxpayers are paying for. And they go in half an hour and say, you're going to lose. I'm going to tear you apart. I said, but we didn't know who I was. You're going to lose. I'm going to tear you apart. Listen, I'll give you a check for £2,000 right now. £2,000 right now. Look, I've got a checkbook. It's Michael. Michael was there. I was sitting there, I was shocked. We just sit there just listening and like, you know, oh yeah, right. £2,000. They pay them £2,000 and make a signed agreement that they want to speak about. This agreement is worthless. You can speak out about racism to protect that, but they do that. £2,000. So there's workers out there that give you money, they just destroy that thing, and it's our money to be signed. So they pay, you know, and if you're working by yourself and you're told like that, then you think, well, the only thing I can do is take the money. And that person lives with that for the rest of their life. Sorry, I don't want your money. It's not a question. I'm going back. And you know when I work first floor, 2 to 7 pound over, I'm an assessment officer. I am here to help the homeless to get home. That's my job. Thank you very much.
Hiring of a barrister. Is there any particular case where a barrister has been hired that you know of now?
Oh, you would listen to this. Oh, God, it's one joke. This council management, I've never seen anything like it. You know, if I was them, I would have just backed down a long time ago. But they seem to be digging their hole in a grave and just keep on digging. So arrogant. But you know what? After they wanted, my union wrote a letter and said to this racist man saying, you're not a racist. And they were insisting that my union represent me. How can they represent me if we could be guilty? So I said, no, I was someone else. I was Josie, someone who's a civil rights lawyer who's going to have a fight. Because I'm intending to fight this. They said, no, she's from outside. You can have a co-worker. A co-worker, yeah, right. And I said, no. And we said, no, there's going to be no hearing without that. We went to the High Court and then collapsed completely. So they allowed Joe to represent me. So suddenly we get a letter. So we've got an appeal here. Lambeth Council has hired a barrister to represent council in my appeal. An internal appeal. £1,000 an hour. £20,000. I'd like to be, one question you can ask, how much is this costing the council taxpayer? They hired a barrister. The manager, Patsy Duba, who led the investigation and prosecution against me, was made redundant 3 weeks ago. Anya, the racist manager, was made redundant and paid off at Christmas. And they hired a barrister. And so we want them back. So you know, in my disciplinary, they didn't bring this racist manager to testify in the hearing. I have a right to face my accuser, and they used the fact that they would bring this person that proves that I was guilty. She is so harassed by me that she can't even attend the hearing. And I said, no. I want to face my accuser. I have a right to do that. It's a fundamental right. So that's what this council is, paying our money and hiring barristers to defend their racist practices. Well, I'm sorry, this community is saying no.
Who do we complain to about that?
Faith Boardman.
Wouldn't that be better on our kids' education rather than paying for them?
Exactly.
I worked at school for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Without no education.
Did you receive confirmation at some point that the dismissal of you was a setup?
Yeah. I mean, I suspect of that as well, about that, but it's when I got the letter from Whelan, which confirmed that Faith Boardman discussed this about getting me out of the building, but that she always said that the case against me, while they sacked me, wasn't enough to sack me, and to this day, Faith Boardman refused to say anything. She needs to come out and answer those questions. Then I found out that Mike Franklin, the chairperson of the Peace Consulting Group that I've been going to meet for a year, was approached. I was approached. And then I found out Lee Dasper was approached for evidence against me, completely just, you know, it's just outrageous. And to the detriment of those 3 people, none of them are my political allies, and it gives them more credit. To the detriment of those 3 people, to Councillor Whelan, that they had the principle to stand up and speak out against this.
How do you view the struggle for your reinstatement? What's it about to you?
It's not about my job, really. I want my job back. But it's more than that. It's the rights of every worker and of every member of this community to have a decent life, to be treated equally, to have the opportunities and resources that can give particularly our young people a future. This is what it's about people's right to speak the truth. Speak the truth, the plain truth. I've seen someone in my union has said this, that I'm abrasive, that I don't know how to negotiate. You know, I speak the truth. I speak the truth, and I will always speak the truth. And it's about this community's right to survive. Lambeth is a very decisive community in this country. What's going to happen in Lambeth will have an effect across the whole country. We need to know what responsibility we have in our hands in this community. So we can challenge this and come together, change the way that race relations in our community, change the way of authority and fight for the resources that are needed in this community. This will have an impact right across the country. And today, this public inquiry is the start of that. Because we've had calls from workers, you know, I mean, workers and across London are watching what's going on in Lambeth. And we have a responsibility. I just think it's about our future, our rights and equality, for good race relations, for real racial harmony. You know, I think, you know, this community is so proud, it's so mixed. It's my home. I wouldn't live anywhere else. It's my home. The different nationalities, the different into the communities. You know, they paint things as black and white, but you go out there, people living together. But that can be such a stage of hope for people, not only in this country, but in the world, that people can come together, and this is what's at stake.
Do you see this as being connected with the Stephen Lawrence inquiry?
Absolutely. The Stephen Lawrence inquiry spoke the truth, painful truths. And it was, if it wasn't for Dwayne, to be honest, if it wasn't for Dwayne, the survivor witness stood his ground, and the Lawrence family, you wouldn't have heard of that. So the Stephen Lawrence inquiry, absolutely. The Stephen Lawrence inquiry was forced to declare the truth about institutionalized racism in the police force. And I just say, I was going to those inquiries where I met Dwayne, but it was the people who turned up in the inquiry that demanded that everything come out in the public, that made the inquiry the impact it had, and gave people the strength. Now, we're going beyond that. This issue about racism in the workplace is what the Stephen Lawrence inquiry was to racism in the police force. But the difference is now is we're not relying on a High Court judge. We're the judges here. And so we're not only going to demand that the truth is out, but we can demand there's a real change, and that's the difference. And I think
Are you confident in the future?
I am very confident. We have a management that's very entrenched. We have a management that really doesn't understand what is in its own interest. So it is going to be not an easy struggle. But we are going to win. We are going to win. And we've won already. We've won already. The fact that we're here, the fact that the word's gone out, that people are coming forward, we are going to win. And it's up to Stephen Lawrence have to make a decision. They either go along with us or they will be pushed aside. Pushed aside. And that's what we should go back and tell people. What the situation is, if this was 6 months ago, then we can have that type of thing, all the wrong things. The question is, we're starting to change things around now. By having this public inquiry, we have a chance to put a stop to this. Because we're going to take the situation, they might want all these things in their heads and plans, but we are not going to allow them to happen. That's the change that's being facing now. With my dismissal, and what's happened after that, a line has been drawn. A line has been drawn. Sorry, you have stepped too far. We're taking back what is ours now. And that's what we're going to send a message from here today.